Hey everyone, now that I'm moving into a new shop, I know some of you stuck at home, thought some of you would like to see my work setup and some of my, go through some of my tools. People call these toolbox tours. So this is where I'm going to be working. I'm going to have this corner here in the new shop. New shop's pretty much quite a bit bigger than where we came from. Everybody seems pretty excited to start working in the new shop. I get an office. It's me right there. It's my office chair and stuff right there. That's new for me. Anyways, I know some of you enjoy talking about tools. I'm thinking of some of my uncles and cousins. When we get together, we kind of talk about car business and stuff, and thought maybe somebody might enjoy this. So I'm going to start over here. This is the computers I'm using mostly during the day. This is where we set up. I spend most of my time doing looking up information, documenting work, stuff like that. This is our scan tool. Plug it into the car, and sorry, I'm holding the phone with one hand and trying to display things with the other hand, but we have an interface here, and we hook it up to the car and communicate with computers and whatnot in the car, and send stuff to Germany and download software, all that kind of fun stuff. So a lot happens with this scan tool. We do almost every repair, either oil changes, brakes, and going up, and it involves plugging the scan tool into the car. So I've got my toolbox and my tool cart. So this cart's kind of like rolls around with me as I'm working. I might come to the corner of where, like if I have a rear wheel off, I might drag that around with me to the back of the car. And so I keep my most often used tools in the cart, and then larger things and things that aren't used as often are kept in the box. So we're going to start in the tool cart. Kind of take a look down in here. So as you see, I have it set up with I have Allen's here. Got my 10 triple square. Those of you who don't know what triple squares are, what we got here. But 10 triple square I use quite a bit. It's very, very common. My favorite spark plug socket. It's nice and long. I like long spark plug sockets. I don't know. We've got back in here tucked away are my little tiny triple squares. These are all 1/4-inch drive. Got my like long screwdriver, so that's just like a long slotted screwdriver. Got my long Phillips screwdriver. Got my ratcheting screwdriver. These things were a lot more popular before all the battery operated tools started coming out, and they started getting really good. Assortment of different pry bars, and another macro pry bar. I found this pry bar in the engine bay of a 2001 Audi TT. I don't know how it was in there for so long, but it came from another shop, and it was hitting the hood, so well, it became mine. We've got another one of my longer pry bars. Now some of the other guys, almost dropped it. Some of these guys have ones that are substantially longer than this one, and instead of buying another one, I just go and borrow theirs. So I got my 3/8 sockets all along here. We got my deep wells, my shallows. I always leave this guy set up. It's a 21 millimeter with a swivel for removing brake caliper brackets on the front of our cars. 1/2-inch sockets, deep and shallows. Got my large 3/8 shallows. So this is like a 21 millimeter and a 24 millimeter. That's shallow. I like to, it helps you get into tight spots. These things up here are things I'm using when I'm like doing a walk around inspection on a car when it's up on my lift. Mirrors, brake pad gauges, tire depth gauge. This is my favorite T30. It's really long. When I broke my last one, they had discontinued it, and a local tool guy helped me source out another one because nobody was making them like this anymore. Makes me sound like an old man. They don't make the tools I want anymore. 1/4" drive sockets. This is a bread pan that someone glued magnets at the bottom. Makes a great parts tray. Oil filter socket. Now we're not going to go into as much detail on the other as we go through here, but I thought you guys would like to see, as I go through the rest of the tools, thought you guys would like to see kind of what my main stuff is here. I always like to leave this area clear, so as I'm working, the tools I'm using are going in here, or parts coming off of cars and things like that. You know, so this is kind of like a recessed, it's pretty deeply recessed as you can see, but it's like a recessed work area, so tools don't roll off or run away, and parts don't run away. We'll go into the top drawer. This is Ratchets and Wrenches. Keep them up high because I'm in this drawer a lot, so I put this drawer up high. So you got my 3/8 and my 1/4" wrenches, ratchets over here. This little guy comes in handy quite a bit. Little 1/4" guy. It's got no teeth in it. It's just a little sprayed clutch, and then so it's not real strong for breaking things loose. But once you got like something broke loose and you're trying to thread something out in a tight space, comes in handy. Favorite ratchet would probably be this snap-on 3/8 here, and maybe this this Mac 1/4" is probably one of my go-to 1/4" guys. Extensions, locking extensions, nothing fancy there. Wobble extensions, snap-on, assortment of bits, little like stubby sockets with a pass-through ratchet. More triple squares. Audi likes triple squares. Ratcheting wrenches, both with flex heads. That was locking flex head on that one. Non-flex heads. Bought this set back in the, I don't know, late 90s, early 90s. Most of those are still original. Got my super long ratcheting wrenches. Assortment of snap-on flank drive and a couple oddball guys in here. And my long 1/2" ratchet, normal 1/2" ratchet, sockets and whatnot. Let's see what we got next. Over here, we got my two torque wrenches. These are electric battery-powered torque wrenches. They're smart torque wrenches. They do torque angle as well, so you can set the amount of torque you want down on the bolt, and then you could set how many degrees of turn you want after you hit that torque. And it's all done with gyroscopes in the handles, so as you ratchet back, you can continue going. You don't lose your place. Instead of we used to use protractors, which we might come across later on in the tour. This set here, these are all Allen and Torx. They're kind of what I call the oh crap sockets, because once the normal ones round out, these guys, you can use these guys to get in and get your Allens and Torx out when they have damaged heads. These get you out of a bind. I wish they would have invented these about 10 years earlier when we were doing a lot of Porsche work and old Porsches, because that was always a struggle. But these things really help you out pretty quick. Get you out of binds a lot faster than what we were doing. Allens, call these Tommy bars. Our wheels don't have wheels and hubs don't use studs. So sometimes you might use these bars to guide the wheels onto place if you're dealing with, especially if you're dealing with ceramic rotors. Odds and ends, mirrors, magnets, tire pressure gauge. So this is kind of oil changey stuff here, car service stuff. Oil filter sockets. This is screwdrivers and pliers. So everybody knows what screwdrivers are. No biggie here. These guys, I was kind of surprised. The younger guys weren't aware of these tools, but they're flexi, and they are the size of our hose clamp nuts and drivers on them, and so you can get into tight spaces. Once you get it on, you can bed it into place and go to town on it. Enjoy. I don't know. These things are really handy to me. I was surprised these younger guys hadn't seen them. Torx drivers, long Torx drivers. Assortment of pliers here. I don't know if there's anything of note in pliers. These guys are great for spring clamps, like for spring style hose clamps. So you see they have grooves cut in them, and they grab onto the ears of those. These, I keep them right up front here because I use them all the time. Vice grips. What else we got of interest here? We've got the little itty bitty guys. This one, I like these because they stay parallel as you open them. So it's almost like an adjusting wrench. Instead of opening like a V, like these open and close, the jaws stay parallel. I don't know, I find it really interesting. Let's see, Christy Lau, if you're still on board, I'm impressed because I think you would have checked out a while ago. These pliers, pick these up. These are designed to grab the heads of screws or bolts that might be sticking up, and so then you can twist them off. A coworker of mine had a pair, and when he left, every once in a while I'd go looking for somebody else that would have these, because you know when you don't think about them until you need them. And when I picked these up a couple months ago, which means I won't need them for a while, because it's like wearing a bicycle helmet. Once you put it on, you usually don't fall off your bike. These are side cutters that are used daily. Those are made by Nipex, and Nipex makes really good stuff. I use those. Yeah, those pliers. I know it's boring to talk about side cutters, but I really enjoy those pliers. Fluke Multimeter. I've had this meter since 95 or 96. I blew it up one time. I hooked it up to a 10,000 volt circuit, thinking that it had a 10,000 or higher volt impedance, but it was only 1,000 volt impedance, and I ended up blowing it up. So it was so old that Fluke wouldn't fix it. They would only sell me a new one, so I had it shipped to North Carolina to have it repaired. See, we got lights, pry tools for interior work, more pry tools for interior work, vacuum tester, thermometer. We got different like electrical diagnosis odds and ends, like a fiber optic loop to loop out components on the fiber optic system. Stethoscope. My diagnostic drawers are always kind of messy, because all the wires and everything. But long 30-foot leads, old school test light. I always tell the young guys, you got to have an old school test light, because the new ones, the LED test lights, will lead you wrong quite often. You have to be careful with these. You can burn up circuits, but if you know what you're doing, you can diagnose an electrical issue a lot faster with one of these than with a meter and LED test light. You got micrometers. I guess those aren't mics. I can't remember what the calipers. Thank you, calipers. Use these for brakes. These are just cheapo ones. I don't use those for engine repairs. That's more for brakes and things like that. Down here used to be air tool drawer, but as time's going on, we've been switching over to battery powered tools, which means we don't have to drag a hose around. And it means that means a lot less dragging hose into interior, air hosing into interior of a car and getting everything dirty. Just it makes life a lot easier for us. So I still do wheels and tires with the air powered half-inch impact. And there's my 3/8 impact when this guy just doesn't quite have what it takes to get it done. I got my hammers back here. We use hammers are another right-hand tool. You don't think about, a lot of people seem surprised that we'd use hammers on high-end cars, but things get stuck and you gotta get them off. This guy takes a lot of wheels off for me. Now this punch seems excessively long, but man, I use this punch a lot. If it's having a large long punch like this, I get a lot of stuff broken free with that. Again, that's another thing that the young guys kind of look at like it's crazy I have something like that, but it gets the job done a lot quicker. Let's see, some cleaning disc, punch holder, assortment of punches and chisels. Kind of out of sorts right now because just had the box shipped over from the old shop. Brushes, wire brushes. This drawer is just fender covers, shop rags, gloves, things like that. This is a little air-powered vacuum cleaner for cleaning out anything. But we do a lot with cleaning leaves and debris out of cowl areas. And now we can go over to this guy. I don't know where to start really. So this isn't as impressive because I just moved into a larger box, so there's more room to spread my wings, and also most of my mostly used tools are over here. So anyways, we'll start through here. This drawer used to be kind of before I had an office. Did I tell you about my office? This drawer was used to be mostly like loose papers and stuff I had to save, books, things like that. But now I have a desk that's holding that kind of stuff. So I'm still trying to figure out how I'm going to use this drawer, how it's going to look like. So it's a little bit of a mess right now. iPad, very useful tool. A lot of audio information we use on the iPad. We have service information there, so that way I can take the iPad to the car and to the interior and to the engine bay and not have to run back and forth to the computer all the time. This was 3D printed for me in Germany by Audi engineers. It didn't fix the car. Dremel. Black light for finding leaks after you put dye in systems. Kind of empty here, kind of anticlimactic, but this is all my bits and Allens, triple squares, things like that. I don't know what to do with this drawer. Some of my young kids, I call them their sticker drawers because they usually have a bunch of stickers and things like that in it, but haven't figured out what I'm going to do with this drawer yet. I guess I have to buy more tools. This is like AC, so like AC sniffer. This is also an AC sniffer. AC like thermometers, odds and ends, old GM AC clutch pullers, GM power steering pulley pullers, combustion gas tester for engine coolant. is my measurement drawer. So we got like a straight edge over here. We've got some mics, got some dial indicators, mounts for dial indicators, another mic, feeler gauges. And where'd this, here he is. This guy here is left over from the Porsche days. This is a feeler gauge for setting valve clearance on air-cooled Porsches. Made a lot of money with that tool. Tape measures. Why do I have so many tape measures? Because some are metric, some are, this is metric, and some are, I don't know, American, what do you want, standard, what do you want to call it, and other ones I just found along the way. Let's see, feeler gauges, batteries for the calipers. We go through a lot. I go through a lot of batteries for my calipers. These little clicker guys are for setting belt tension, and used to use those on the Porsches. Notice they expected us to be using these a lot to set belt tension because it comes with a pocket clip. So this is the blow molded toolbox drawer. So we've got like a, what do I have in here? Now I can't, it's all new to me because I just moved in. Bore scope. We've got brake flare kits, leak down tester, oil pressure, trans fluid pressure, compression gauge, coolant system leak checker, snap ring plier set, large snap ring plier set. And what do we got here? Oh, that's the puller set. Used to use that a lot more in the GM days. All right, so we got a couple like really long drawers. But up here, this is mostly sockets, 3/8 sockets, my rail of different spark plug sockets. Or so you got some orphan sockets there. We're trying to, not always sure where to put. This is a rail of orphan sockets, not a part of a set. Safety wire, underhood lamp. See this guy, you hook that onto your hood and it lights up the engine bay as you're working. Very useful tool. My really long 3/4 inch breaker bar. I use that on hub bearings, hub bearing bolts, because to tighten them, they are 140 foot-pounds plus 180 degrees. So you have to tighten it to 140 foot-pounds, and then with this bar, it's about as much as a skinny guy can take with this bar to tighten it down that 180 degrees afterwards. Let's see, got a few more orphan sockets here. Got a set of Allens. Nice set of Matco Torx. These are kind of like my backup guys right now as my other ones get worn out. Allen ball sockets. Different adapters, like 3/8 to 1/4 inch adapters. More orphan sockets, swivels. Adapters from 1/2 inch to 3/8, more swivel sockets. E-Torx, we haven't really talked about E-Torx, but Porsche was going over to E-Torx, and so we were buying quite a bit of these, but then we sold the Porsche franchise. More swivel sockets, 1/4 inch swivel sockets. Sometimes these will save you from spending all day on one bolt. A few more orphan sockets, long triple squares, medium length 1/4 inch, medium depth 1/4 inch sockets, little super stubby Torx bits. Those will get you out of binds. Large 1/2 inch sockets. Back here we got, this is leftover from way back when I had a full-size pickup truck, which those of you who know me may not remember, but that was way back, that was 96. I had to buy that tool to service the four-wheel drive system. Sockets, Allen bits, large Allen bits, adapter for 3/8, so you can drive a 3/8 from a 1/2 inch. Triple squares, cheese head. These are for, we use these for cylinder heads, cylinder head bolts. More deep 1/2 inch, 1/2 inch swivels. This set, now if you, we're going through here and you see Craftsman sockets and wrenches, that was part of a tool starter set I bought in '94 when I decided to start changing oil. Bought it from Sears. Many of the tools are still with me. Wrench drawer. Got ratcheting E-Torx, standard E-Torx. These are Stallwelly wrenches. They look really plain, but they're a German wrench company, and they're for this, their size, they are very light and extremely strong. Yeah, one of my better wrench purchases. Box end wrenches. I have what we call these, like this is what people call crescent wrenches, but to me this is like crescent moon. Short ratcheting wrenches. Secondary wrenches that kind of complement the wrenches that are in the box. So sometimes you might need 2 13 millimeters or whatever. I might grab from here. Got my stubby wrenches, more stubbies. Got these little guys. They're like wrenches that you can put your, it's from Mac Tools, that you can put your ratchet on the one end and you have a box end wrench on the other. That is a serpentine belt tool with the different ends for it. If you ever need your distributor adjusted on an old GM, I've got the tools for that. These are the protractors I was talking about a while ago, that those electronic dial indicator, the electronic torque wrenches replaced for me. But you would set your angle and you would have to find an anchor point and set your angle and then turn it back to 0. So those torque wrenches ended up saving a lot of time. This is a beam style torque wrench. This is for really light work. In fact, it still has, don't tell anybody, I need to put that back in the Audi special tool cabinet. That's not mine. That's for setting belt tension, timing belt tension. Shh, don't tell anyone. I gotta get that back on there by Monday. Another 3/8 torque wrench, click style. Line wrenches, GM battery tools, modified wrenches that I've used to get into tight spaces. I think both of these for different style oil pressure sending units. Found this guy in a car. Yeah. Crow's feet. That's an old style tie rod adjuster. This is my, oh, you're having a bad day drawer. So this is the poop's about to hit the fan. Open this drawer because we don't want to have to start drilling out broken bolts. So what we have here, we have bolt extractors. So if you have a hole, you can get these, drive these guys in. If you have a hole in the center of the bolt, you can drive these guys, get it to focus here. Drive these guys in, and then as you twist it, it extracts it. Not as successful, percentage of success is not as high as I'd like, but that's life. This is the same concept, except these guys have more of a, you get the focus, maybe try a larger one. Same concept, but if you drill out a hole in the center of the broken bolt, you drive this in, you can see the flues are kind of twisted to the side. I can make it focus. It'll bite into that bolt and hopefully get it out. Those do save your, those percentage of success is higher with these than these, but sometimes only one style will work. These both are styles that will go over a rounded off bolt. Drill bits, nothing fancy here. I just keep replacing them with higher quality drill bits as I burn them up or break them. Hole saw. This is another example of a tool. Oh, I'm missing one. A tool that does the same thing as those, but it has the drill bit installed in the center of it. Rotor broach, cutting holes in sheet metal. Reverse thread, like backwards drill bits. More just random bit holders. We've got carbide bits for we need to grind something out. Stud extractors, installers. Thread files. If your day's gone to the point where you need a thread file, you're like just probably 30 minutes away from having to walk to the boss's office and tell him that something real expensive has to be replaced. Random brushes, spark plug, GM spark plug, time cert for when you strip out a GM. I don't know why I still have so much of my old GM stuff left over. It's hard to let go. Random files, extra pry bar, tap and die set. Those are my taps. Those are my dies. Old kit, had this a long time. Random brushes, more tap and dies that didn't come with the kit that were different sizes. Don't have a home, so that's where they live now. Drivers for taps. I like that a lot better than using the big T-handle. Got a little hone, wire wheels. Christy, if you're still with me, I'm gonna buy you lunch when this whole coronavirus thing is over. This is a drawer that I don't know what to categorize these tools as. So nothing real of interest here, like clutch alignment tools, battery cleaners, extra spare tire pressure gauge, more spare tire pressure gauge, blowguns, rivet gun, oil filter wrenches, another stethoscope. There was a stethoscope over there. I don't know if I said it or not. I use stethoscopes a lot to try to locate noises. Magnet. More ratchets and extensions. This is not, remember that brand Stall Willie that I was talking about, the wrenches. This is a ratchet, which I really like the action of this ratchet. Really extremely fine tooth, but it's so fat and clunky that I would just get aggravated with it. So after a number of years of using this, I went back to a normal style ratchet. Speed wrenches. Not too many people use speed wrenches anymore. Electric drawer, like electric diagnosis drawer. So we got like different odd little wires, or use seam rippers, like a seamstress seam rippers to cut tape off of wiring harnesses. Some spare relays. Power probe. I rarely use it because, like I was saying about the test light back there, I have more success diagnosing electrical issues with the standard test light than with something like a power probe. This is an assortment of test relays. They have little probes on them, so you can plug them into the relay circuit and then watch voltages and whatever live. I don't remember what this is. You guys want, I don't know, is it worth opening? It's probably not that interesting if it's in the way back of my drawer. Oh yeah, that is a amp meter that I found to be more highly inaccurate. So why do I still have it? Excuse me while I zip that up there. This is liquid electrical tape. It is if you're doing wiring repairs, it'll be your buddy. Xenon headlamp bulbs. Being that the bulbs are new, $150 to $200 a piece, I save a few known good ones for testing to pop them in before I tell a customer they're gonna have to drop a few $100 for a headlamp bulb. Soldering iron, little holder for wires during wiring repairs. Butane torch. This is kind of a radio tool Swiss Army knife of sorts. It separates and it has all the different, from Ford to Volkswagen and Porsche radio tools in it. Got some Porsche and Audi radio tools here. This is like just a bunch of different leads that I can plug into my Fluke meter, like alligator clips or like piercing probes, things like that. This, when you have a car that has an electrically operated hood and the battery's dead, how do you open the hood? Well, you get jump power from your jump box to the cigarette lighter in that car and hope that it's enough power to get that hood open. Wire repair pliers. This is the amp hound. Haven't had to try it yet, I just got it. This will, it's supposed to help make finding parasitic draws a lot easier and faster, so we'll try that out. This is leftover from the Porsche days. This is the Porsche wire terminal repair kit. There's another tray below, but I figured it better go in my box before it grows legs and walks away. Spare ignition coils for testing misfires and diagnosing misfires. Heavy duty soldering iron. So I got like the little guy when I'm doing something on a circuit board or something like that. And then I got my heavy duty guy when I just want to like blast it with as much heat as possible. Noid light kit. Use those for diagnosing like old school styles. Injectors and things and whatnot. Spark tester. These guys are brake pad wear indicators, and oftentimes the light is on when the brake pads are good and you got to figure out why. That's part of my process. Ooh. Now that I've gotten older, I had to purchase magnifying glass. Air tool drawer, pretty self-explanatory. Now this one is a lot stronger than the one I keep over here, but it's also a lot bigger and clunkier. So I only pull it out when I have something that my other half-inch impact can't take out. So he lives a pretty comfortable life. Cut-off wheels, sanding wheels, stubby impacts, right angle drill, some ratchets, more grinding wheels, air hammer. I kept complaining to my tool vendor that the air hammers he was selling me weren't strong enough. So I ended up showing up with this one that's made in Cleveland. And let's see if I can get that label in there. And it's an industrial grade air hammer. There's no finesse in it, so you better be careful what you're doing, but it'll hit pretty hard. Air hammer bits. Another, like a high RPM cutoff wheel. Torque sticks. Don't really use torque sticks anymore, but maybe if I'm working on a used car, let's say a non-brand, maybe like a non-Audi brand, might use that. This is for like removing adhesive that's on a painted surface, like maybe it held a piece of trim on the side of the car. You might use that to get the adhesive off. And Harbor Freight protective sockets for when you're got like a wheel that you're worried about scraping the area around the wheel bolts. You might use those sockets. I just bought Harbor Freight ones because we don't end up using them very often. Let's see. Got an old school timing light. Bought that guy in a garage sale way long time ago. Still works. I've had to rig it up a little bit, but haven't had to pull it out of my toolbox in a long time. Don't do a whole lot that need timing lights anymore, but That's still there. Little odds and ends for my vacuum tester. This is a jack for air-cooled 911s. There's a slot in front of the rear wheels. You'd slide that into, and then you would put your jack underneath that and jack up the whole, the entire left or right side of the car. This one. With one, sorry, just got a text message, got distracted. Yeah, so you can jack up a whole left or right side and access the wheels. See, we got like toe straps, some odds and ends. We got strut compressor. We got these guys here. If you know what these are, I'll buy you lunch. Except for you, Aaron. Aaron, you don't get to guess. Got battery carrier, like to carry batteries around. Ball joint separator, pulling tools. This, I don't know if you can figure this one out. This is the master fuel injection kit. But so basically, it is all the fittings and there's hoses underneath for you to check fuel pressures and monitor that. Especially when you're diagnosing drivabilities and no starts. This tool, oh, you can see it here. But this, guys, I use this to bend doors. So let's say you have a customer that has an SUV and they grab the top of the door as they hop in and out of the car and use the door to hoist themselves up onto the seat. Well, over time, it bends the door down and the door becomes difficult to close. So I use that to bend it in place. Picks, large picks, small picks, seal extractor, orphan screwdrivers, more pliers, snap ring pliers, pliers. These guys are probably the grippiest, like adjustable plier or wrench, whatever, that I've ever used. Between those teeth and the mechanic of how when you pulling on this padded area, how it forces the lower jaw to bite in. You can do a whole lot of twisting with this before it starts spinning free. See anything? Safety wire pliers, long, if you can see those, like hose pliers. You gotta be careful with those, because you can puncture the hose that you're trying to remove. Hog ring pliers when you're doing upholstery work. Not much of interest here. Hammers, little, they call these lady finger, I think, lady finger pry bars. Lady something or other. We'll say lady finger. This is for adjusting Porsche shifters. Brass punch. Regular punches, more hammers, oddball tools, and this is what they call the power drawer, because we have an outlet in the back inside this box. We have like a power strip inside the box, and then I have chargers for different lights for the tools, for my power tools. Have them going all the time. Then over here I have my battery charger, and then my oscilloscope I use just for a quick. Audi has a nicer and faster one that we use, but it takes more setup. So I use this for just a quick and dirty if I want to see like a square wave from a sensor or from a can line or a LIN line, make sure it's active. I'll plug this in real fast. Well, that is my toolbox tour. Christy Lyle, if you're still here, I'll buy you lunch because I'm impressed that you stuck around, but I figure you probably didn't. Those of you who didn't see it, this was something nice Audi did for us that have been in the business for a while. Get a little medallion every 5 years or so. Thought it was kind of cool. But anyways, hope you enjoyed that. Thought some of you who are stuck at home might enjoy something a little different to look at. And I don't know, some of you might find this interesting. I like this kind of stuff, but you can see like my badges for ASE. You can see I have to recertify every 4 years. So that means I've been ASE certified advanced level specialist for more than 16 years, and you can see the aging process of these badges. I find it interesting. Anyways, thanks for watching.